Hello and welcome to the Embrace the Mud podcast. Today, we're going to be diving into a crucial topic and one that we cover here quite often, and that is boundaries. And in particular, we're going to be talking about how to do boundaries correctly because this is an area that some of us get confused and don't know exactly what it looks like to create and enforce a healthy boundary. So let's dive in. You are listening to the Embrace the Mud podcast, where we discuss all things related to healthy, joyful, and life-giving relationships. Why focus on relationships? Because the quality of our intimate partnerships and close connections influences our health, happiness, and longevity more than anything else in our lives. Relationships matter a lot. So together, let's jump into the mud, aka our messy relationships, pull some weeds, plant some seeds, and create an enriching environment where strong relationships can take root. I am your grateful host, Dara Posner. I am a relational disaster working toward relational mastery. I am also a positive psychology coach, a relational mindset coach, a blogger, and now a podcaster. Thank you for tuning into this episode of the Embrace the Mud podcast, where we discuss all things related to healthy, joyful, life-giving relationships. If you are a fan of this podcast, please subscribe, follow, like, review, and share. Your engagement in this way is crucial to the success of the podcast, and I appreciate you taking just a few seconds to support my mission, which is to help people like you flourish in life and love. Okay, so to kick off our conversation today, let's start off by understanding the purpose of a boundary. Contrary to popular belief, it's not about controlling or punishing someone's behavior. In fact, when we attempt to control others through boundaries, we inadvertently end up in a toxic cycle of control and punishment, which is not the essence of healthy boundary setting. The true purpose of a boundary is rooted in love, and love maximizes freedom. A healthy boundary is one that is placed on yourself rather than on others, and it should never make someone feel restricted or controlled. Instead, a healthy boundary serves as a guide informing others about your limits and the consequences if those limits are crossed. You can picture it like a fence around a garden. The fence doesn't control the flowers, it protects them. Likewise, a healthy boundary protects both you and the relationship. So here's the thing. Setting boundaries can be revelatory. Sometimes they do reveal an incompatibility that requires either working through any discrepancies that are revealed so that you can become more compatible, or acknowledging the need to go separate ways. Now let's get practical for a moment. How do you know if you're doing boundaries wrong? If your boundaries are aimed at controlling someone else, it's time to reevaluate. Healthy boundaries are about self-preservation and clarity, not about manipulation. So here are a few tips for setting healthy boundaries. First, clarify your limits. Understand what you need to feel safe and respected in a relationship. And next, communicate your limits clearly. Express your boundaries calmly and assertively, focusing on your needs rather than pointing fingers. So for example, instead of saying, "You can't do that," you can try saying something like, "I feel uncomfortable when that happens and I need X to feel respected." So in summary, my precious listeners, healthy boundaries are born from love and should maximize freedom, not restrict it. They protect, guide, and when needed, reveal the path to growth or separation. Remember, a garden flourishes best when its boundaries are respected, not when they are used to control. So that wraps up our episode for today. I want to thank you for joining me on this exploration of healthy boundaries on the Embrace the Mud podcast. If this episode resonated with you, I'd love for you to follow or subscribe to the podcast and share this episode with someone that you think might find it helpful. I'd also love to connect with you in other spaces. So head over to Instagram and connect with me there. My handle is @EmbraceTheMud. And also, please subscribe to my newsletter if you haven't already, Questions for the Soul. You can do that at mudcoaching.com, and you will receive a weekly journal prompt to help guide you inwardly and to connect you to your deepest needs and desires. I also wanted to announce that I have added an additional offering to my services. You can now schedule a one-time advice session with me. It is a 90-minute session where you get to just sort of share your situation or circumstance and get professional feedback, as well as a follow-up email that includes a recap of our session and a specific strategy to help you move forward in your current circumstance. You can head over to mudcoaching.com to learn more about that as well. I will be back very soon with another episode for you here on Embrace the Mud. In the meantime, please remember, as always, that you are wired for love and connection. You are capable of love and connection. You are worthy of love and connection. I'll see you next time.